Celtics. Blockbuster trade, new target, shock offer. Revealed today changes everything. If you're a Celtics fan, I know exactly how you're feeling. We wake up, open our feed, and those butterflies come to our stomach. Who's going to leave? Who's arriving? And will this really solve the problem? Today there are hot rumors and a surprise offer involving a new target. And if this is confirmed, it will change the team now, even this season. But don't worry. Here I'm not just going to repeat the headline. In the next few minutes, I'll show you what's real, what's smoke, why this negotiation appeared, and how it changes the squad in practice, rotation, defense, spacing, and even what can happen with the names you like most. So leave a like, subscribe, and comment. Would you make this change, yes or no? Because once you understand the details, your opinion may change. Before I show you the most important details of this offer, let me ask you one quick thing that makes a huge difference. Subscribe to the channel now because our goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers. And when we reach that mark, YouTube starts to recommend more, the channel gains more strength, and I can bring you more quick news, lives, and complete analysis of the Celtics. So do the following. Click on subscribe, activate the bell so you don't miss any last-minute bombs, and leave a like, because this delivers the video to more fans. It's literally the simplest way for you to help the channel grow. And comment below. Closed. If you signed up, I'll pin the first few comments. Now stay with me because in the next few seconds I'm going to show you who could be involved in this negotiation, what Boston would have to deliver, and why this could change everything today. Let's go to the video. Let me ask you something for real. When was the last time you read a trade rumor and had that feeling of, this can't be real? But at the same time, you thought, what if it is? Because that's exactly the energy that's circulating right now, and I need to talk to you about it calmly, without gratuitous exaggeration, but also without pretending that it's not a bomb. The subject is this. A proposal appeared in the media putting Bam Adebayo, simply one of the pillars of the Miami Heat, with a chance to end up in Boston. And I know that just hearing Bam and Celtics in the same sentence, many people react in two ways. Either they laugh and say it's impossible, or they start to imagine what it would be like to see this guy wearing green and white and think, my God, that changes everything. The truth is that even though it is a hypothetical proposal, it touches on a very sensitive point in the NBA. How much one team is willing to give up its own identity to start over, and how much another is willing to pay dearly to shorten the path to the title. And that's where I want to bring you into the conversation because these types of rumors have a very specific effect on those who follow the Celtics closely. You look at the squad, you see a strong, competitive team with established stars, but you also realize that in playoffs the game changes. Space decreases, mistakes are more costly, and there is always that question that comes back. Do we have the right pieces to respond when the opponent adjusts? When a name like Bam Adebayo comes up, that question gets a tempting, almost automatic answer. But we need to breathe and analyze what this really means. Let's start with Miami, because it's impossible to understand this scenario without looking there. The Heat, for years, has lived with a very clear mentality. Compete now. It's a team that doesn't feel comfortable being average, that rarely accepts a year of transition as an excuse. They built their own culture, a particular way of playing, of behaving, of presenting themselves as a franchise. And within this imaginary, Bam is not just a player, he is a symbol. He is the type of piece that supports the team when the attack doesn't flow, when the rotation needs to hold back, when the energy drops. He scores, protects, changes everything, passes, runs the court, fights for possession as if it were the last one of the game. And perhaps more important than that, he holds the locker room together. It represents the heart of a style. So when a proposal comes along that says Miami would send Bam to its biggest conference rival, the shock isn't just technical. It's emotional. It's almost as if someone is saying, the Heat, as you know them, could be over. And I understand why this gets so much attention, Because as much as the NBA is a business, fans don't connect with a spreadsheet. Fans connect with the symbol, with history, with the face of the franchise. And Bam has that face. You can disagree with his exact value. You can argue whether he's top 10, top 15, top 20. But you don't argue his impact on what the Heat are. Now look at Boston. And here's where the conversation gets dangerous. Because it's very easy to get carried away and start putting together a video game team in your head. I just want to do this in the right way, as if I were sitting next to you on the couch, watching a game and saying, let's imagine this with our feet on the ground. Bam Adebayo on the Celtics would be, first and foremost, a change of defensive identity. And that's huge, because Boston already has a defense that can be elite, it already has versatility, it already has size and intelligence. But Bam adds a type of security that few players in the league deliver, the feeling that you can exchange appointments without panicking. He can step up as a point guard on the perimeter, he can withstand contact in the paint, he can protect the rim in difficult situations, he can cover when someone is hit, and he can still recover to contest. This type of defender changes the opponent's attack map. The rival enters the court knowing that he will have to think twice, and in playoffs, this matters a lot, because many series are decided less by Plan A and more by what's left when Plan A is taken away. And there's another thing that sometimes gets overlooked. Bam isn't just defense. He is a center who passes very well. He's a guy who, from the top of the box, can create an advantage with a quick pass, can find a cut behind the defense, can make the ball spin with purpose. And when you have wingers who attack well, who cut well, who punish in closeouts, this type of pivot becomes a point of connection. You stop depending on individual plays all the time. You gain fluidity. I know that when you imagine Bam with Tatum and Brown, your head goes straight to new trio. No one can hold back now. It's a dynasty. Calm. Potential exists, of course. The combination is frightening. But to reach this scenario, there is an obstacle that always defines major exchanges: the price. And it's not just price in picks, it's price in depth, in flexibility in the future. Because when you bring a player of this level, you are saying to the world, we chose a path. And the NBA punishes poor choices, especially when they compromise years of competitive window. The proposal itself, with draft picks, swaps, and young players, has a common logic in the market. Miami would receive assets for reconstruction, and Boston would bet on immediate impact. However, in real life, this type of operation depends on two things that do not always appear in rumors: the willingness of the team that delivers the star to accept the political and emotional strain, and the willingness of the receiving team to give up useful pieces, including those that the fan likes and trusts. And here, as a Celtics fan, I think the pain of the debate would be precisely this. The trade is not, who do you prefer, Bam, or an abstract package? The exchange becomes, what can you accept losing from what already works? Because there is a delicate balance in a champion squad. You need high talent, but you also need fit, health, chemistry, and, most importantly, different solutions for different nights. In the playoffs, there are games where you win on talent. There are games where you win on defense. There are games where you win on three ball. And there are games where you win simply because the rotation doesn't collapse when the bench comes in. The big question is, can you keep all that while paying for a star that size? At the same time, I totally understand why the rumor sticks so much, because it speaks to an old desire of any fan, to have a piece that seems like the answer to times when the team suffers. A great versatile man who makes the game simpler, who corrects other people's mistakes, who allows tactical variations. The history of the Celtics has an almost mystical relationship with great defenders and front-court leaders. And, without comparing eras as if it were the same thing, there is an emotional appeal to this idea, another defensive pillar to support the stars. This is seductive. But let's go back to Miami for a second, because if this trade were considered in the slightest, it would say a lot about the state of the Heat. Changing Bam would mean admitting that the current route has reached a limit. And it's not a small decision. It's a turning point, a bet that, in the short term, you will suffer to try to win later. And this affects the fans, affects the locker room, affects the market, affects the way agents and players see the franchise. There are organizations that embrace reconstruction naturally. The Heat aren't usually one of them. So, when someone puts this hypothesis out there, part of the impact comes precisely from, this goes against everything they have always done. Now, I want to tell you how I read this type of rumor. Like a thermometer. Even if the specific exchange never happens, the simple circulation of such an idea reveals that there is unrest, whether for performance, for the future, or for external pressure. And on Boston's side, it reveals something else, that even with success, there is always room to imagine a movement that transforms a very good team into a team that scares the entire league. And then the conversation turns. If you could choose a player to fit in, who would it be? Many talk about a rim protector, others talk about a secondary creator, others talk about someone to solve in half court when the game slows down. Bam, in a way, delivers a little of all of this. He is not that classic pivot who lives only under the basket, nor is he just a finisher. He is a system player, but he is also a player who improves the system. And that's why the idea seems so powerful, because it's not just adding talent, it's adding a role that raises the team's ceiling. Now, let me be very honest with you. There are two risks that almost no one talks about when the internet starts treating a proposal as if it were news. The first is expectation. You create such a grandiose scenario in your head that, when reality arrives, and reality is almost always less cinematic, it gives you frustration, the feeling of, the team didn't do anything. And sometimes the team did, but didn't make the move that existed only in the collective imagination. The second risk is forgetting that fit also has a cost. Not every star becomes a perfect fit. Sometimes, what you lose to bring in a star is exactly what made the team resilient. So what's the bottom line in all of this for the Celtics Talk Show? For me, the point is that this rumor is a chance for us to maturely discuss what Boston is looking for going forward. Does Boston want to continue to be strong and competitive year after year with a long window, or does it want to press the now or never button and accept the price? And I'm not saying that one way is right and the other is wrong. I'm saying that each path requires courage and requires taking consequences. If we enter the hypothetical world and imagine Bam in Boston, the question that comes to mind is, what would the team be like in the final 5 minutes of a big game? I see a tougher, more consistent team, more capable of surviving when the attack drops. I see more defensive options in return, more possibilities to hide a weakness, more security in defensive rebounds. I mainly see a team that makes the opponent feel uncomfortable for 48 minutes. And this discomfort is something that no statistical number translates perfectly, but every fan recognizes when they see it. And yet, I come back to reality. For this to happen, Miami would have to accept the pain of handing over a symbol, and Boston would have to accept the pain of emptying part of its own future. And it is in this two pains that many negotiations die. Because the NBA is not just about who offers the most. It's also who can handle the reaction afterwards. It is those who sleep peacefully with the decision. Now, I really want to hear from you because this is the kind of subject that doesn't work without the voice of the fans. When you imagine Bam Adebayo on the Celtics, do you think he's the final piece, or do you think he's too expensive? Do you believe that a move like that brings you closer to the title or leaves you more vulnerable due to a lack of depth and flexibility? And if you were a Heat fan, would you accept starting from scratch if it meant having picks and young people to start over? Or would you feel like they touched the heart of the team? I'll close like this. Rumors are noisy, hypothetical proposals are seductive, and the internet lives by transforming possibility into certainty. Here on the Celtics Talk Show, my promise to you is different. We will treat this as what it is, an idea worth debate. And at the same time, we will use this idea to better understand what the Celtics need, what the Celtics have, and what the Celtics could turn into if they decide to be even more aggressive. If you've stayed with me this far, I really thank you, because this type of analysis only makes sense for those who like to think about the game and not just chase the headlines. And now I want you to answer me in the comments as if you were talking to me. Would you make this change? Yes or no? And most importantly, what would be your limit? What do you accept to deliver, and what do you not deliver at all? Because when the next real news arrives, it is this conversation today that will make us understand whether it makes sense or not. And stay tuned, because if this rumor grows, if new information appears, or if another name linked to Boston appears, I will come back here with you to break it down in the same way. I look at the game, down to earth, but without fear of facing the size of what is being put on the table. And now I want to close with you the way this story deserves, because if there's one thing that becomes clear after looking at this scenario, it's this. When a rumor puts a name the size of Bam Adebayo in Boston's path, the entire league pays attention. It's not just another internet conversation. It's that kind of possibility that, if one day it becomes reality, changes hierarchy, changes the way opponents build squads, even changes the climate of the Eastern Conference. And then you understand why this moves us so much, because it's not about any piece. It's about a movement that can separate a team very strong from a team that imposes fear. So the golden question remains. If this happens, are you seeing the construction of a championship team for years? Or are you seeing the price being too high for a dream? Because I'll tell you, when the NBA decides to turn the wheel, it doesn't warn you. One night you sleep with a cast. The next day you wake up with a bomb in your feed. And when this type of rumor starts to circulate, it's a sign that the board is moving. And anyone who blinks may lose their timing. Now, if you want to go beyond the headline and understand what really changes in the game, I left something special for you. The Celtics Analyzes playlist is in the pinned comment. Click there as soon as you finish this video, because there I break down, in detail, what makes Boston win series, where the team suffers when the game gets tough, and which player profiles really raise the level of the squad. It's content for you to watch and leave with an argument, not just an opinion. And I want you to do one thing before you go. Comment below, "I saw the playlist" when you open Celtics Analysis, because I will keep an eye on it and respond to the most complete comments. And enjoy. Leave a like, subscribe, and activate the bell, because if this rumor evolves, or if another giant name linked to the Celtics appears, I will bring it here firsthand with real analysis. Did it close? So hold on tight. Because if there's one thing I've learned from watching the NBA, it's when it seems impossible, that's exactly when the bomb explodes the most.